I think the first thing is strategic understanding and the ability to explain that strategic understanding you have of the domain clearly to a whole bunch of different audiences. Sometimes quite technically advanced audiences, sometimes much less technically advanced audiences, and being able, firstly to have that understanding, and secondly to be able to translate it in a way that works for your audience. I think that is, that's my first thing. My second thing is about stakeholder management. So understanding what your stakeholders need of you, whether it's anything from running, offensive cyber operations, potentially, against a whole range of threats, to running an organization's, cybersecurity transformation program or incident management. It's about understanding who your stakeholders are and how you balance their many demands on you. But the third thing, and the most important thing for me, is people. It's natural to think that cyber and cybersecurity is about technology, and of course it is to a degree, but fundamentally I think it's about the people. So it's knowing your people, it's knowing your people needs, knowing the gap between the people you've got and the sort of, community you need to have, and thinking about your people, thinking about what makes them tick, and how you can help them be better. And if you're in a position of having intermediate managers working for you, as I've often been, it's about how you work with those managers to be doing all those things as well. My feeling is we do a lot of thinking about individual people in individual roles today, right now, and of course that is a very important developmental space. But I think particularly when we're talking about cyber leadership, it's really important to think about how people build their careers over time. How people move within an organisation from role to role, how people move between organisations. So how can we help people think about their career as a sort of organic development over, a decade or more? How can we help people with networking outside their existing organisation, perhaps in their professional area? How can we help them see the potential that they may have to bring, their skills to somewhere new? And I say this partly because both in the National Cyber Force and now in the National Crime Agency, my sense is in cybersecurity, the magic comes from having a diverse bunch of people who bring different skills and backgrounds and qualities and experiences and knowledge. And so I think the more we can help people from a wider range of backgrounds see their future in cybersecurity and see paths that they can build to cyber leadership, the better off we'll be for the future. Go for it is the first thing. I think the second thing is something about trying to get a good support network in place, which might be quite a complex thing. If you're in cybersecurity already, you might have a whole load of contacts, or if you're not, if you're in a related discipline, it might be much more straightforward. It might be connecting with a colleague who's already doing a role like the one you aspire to, perhaps in a different organisation. Cyber and cybersecurity is not just a sort of deep specialism. It's a specialism sort of for the many, where we want to bring practitioners from many other walks of life into cyber alongside and to become specialists in cyber alongside the things they're specialists in already, such as investigating or intelligence or other things like that. I think for me one of the most important ones is being open and outward. So I think it is so easy in the busyness of the day to get caught up in thinking that you've got the experience and the connections just local. And my experience, certainly in the National Cyber Force, I'm very new in my next role, but certainly in the National Cyber Force, we don't have all the answers. We learn from our successes, we learn from the things we don't get right, but we learn heaps from our partners, we learn from our adversaries, we learn from people that we didn't think we'd learn from, that we just went out and talked to. So I think the first thing is to be open and outward and curious about, even slightly tangentially related work. And humble. I think the second thing is just to be humble, is to know that this is still quite a developing area. I think it's all about helping us network together in the cyber community. One of my feelings, one of my it's all about helping us to network together in the cybersecurity. My sense is that something we're not doing as well as we need to in the cyber leadership community is thinking not just about people in the roles they're in right now, but people in the roles that they'll be in the future, both ourselves and the people who work for us and the people who are coming along and will be in the sort of next generation. And so I think this sort of event helps lift our heads above the sort of issues of today, and helps people connect with people who can be key mentors and pointers and give advice on what future roles might be. I think the threat is changing, faster than ever before. I think we're seeing the cyber, community grow, so it needs to be better led. And I think we have a better understanding now of how cyber needs to interact with other activities and sort of professional parts within the workplace. So I think I would be really strongly advocating of development of cyber specialists as leaders now, but also advocate the development of people who are leaders in related professions coming into cyber work. And I've seen a bit of that both in the National Crime Agency actually just recently, and also in the National Cyber Force. And so I think trying to ensure that cyber leadership isn't too much of a closed shop, but is open, both to people from the sort of really specialised cyber fields and also, leaders in adjacent disciplines. But I think what's important for me is both that we invest in sort of cybersecurity professionals, but that we think about the training that everyone needs, the population as a whole. But then there's also this really interesting sort of middle ground set of people. So what training does a lawyer or a banker or a businessman, or a small business owner, self-employed person, what do they need that give in cybersecurity that gives them the edge? And I think thinking about cybersecurity for everyone, for the many, and then for the specialists is quite an interesting way to think about that. But the reason why now is that the threat is changing significantly for all of us.